Hello and welcome to Season with Salt. It is episode 17, and this episode we are going to talk exclusively about decluttering. For me, it is decluttering week, and I am making an intentional effort to declutter my space, and I'll tell you all about it. So thanks again for joining. Let's get to work. So I wanted to focus on decluttering because I think that, first of all, you do not have to be an expert on a subject in order to make a podcast about it. I want to be clear about that because I don't want people to be like, yeah, he made a podcast about decluttering. That means he's perfect. No, that means that I had to do some research on it because I need to become better at decluttering. So here's the reason why I'm interested in this. For many years, I didn't value furniture and being at home. I travel for a living. I really like staying in hotels. I just didn't think home is a space where you retreat to at the end of the day. My perspective was very much that everybody needs a place where they can keep their stuff at while they go live their life. And my other feeling is that, essentially home is where the heart is, or home is wherever you are. So somebody might say, well, why do you spend so much time at church? Or why do you spend so much time traveling? Or how can you do it? Well, those are the places that I would consider to be home. However, the difficulty with that is that sometimes you need rest. And you need rest in environments that are peaceful, that are, specific to who you are as a person, and then that represent, just peace, shalom, And so recently I bought a couch, and I hadn't bought a couch. I knew that I was coming, sort of entering a phase in my life where I needed to be at home and enjoying being at home. And I've been thinking a lot about buying a TV and getting cable and all the regular things that people have had for years that have just not been something that I value. And, a thing that kind of was stopping me from moving forward and being like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy this couch and all this furniture and I'm going to get this TV and I'm going to go. The thing that was stopping me is I just feel like I had accumulated so much stuff. And before I could accept anything new, I just had to declutter, which I think sometimes can be a problem in general. We can't move forward because we're trying to figure out what to do with the stuff that we have, right? I can't buy anything new until I figure out what to do with what I'm dealing with, right? I can't date a new person until I figure out how to categorize emotions for people that I've been with in previous relationships. I can't get a new job because next week, I got this, that, and the other to do for this job, even though I'm not happy there. So we deal in life with the difficulty of feeling stuck at a stage because we really don't know what to do with the stuff that we have. So how can we allow something new in our life? And I kind of feel like, it's I'm like that in a lot of different categories in my life, probably with the exception of clothes buying. Sometimes I can't find an item of clothing. I would just go to the store and just buy another one, almost exactly like it. I couldn't find a green shirt the other day. And so I was like, I'm going to go to 3 stores. I'm going to get 3 green shirts. Wow. Okay. I'm going to get 1 green shirt. And then I got home and laid all my bags across the bed. And I'm like, wait, I bought 3 green shirts and 2 of them I don't even like. Neither here nor there. But so I've been thinking a lot about decluttering. I ended up buying a couch before I was able to really declutter. And so now, on top of the things that I had to rearrange in different areas, and when I say rearrange, I'm using that very, very, very loosely. On top of the things that I had to rearrange, I also, now have this big couch wrapped in plastic sitting in my living room, that has become a part of the groups of things that I have not, really taken the time to be like, okay, this goes somewhere, this should be for something, so on and so forth. So that's kind of the space that I'm in, and so this week I said, I'm going to step back from, stressing out about how to get organized, and I'm just going to think about how can I do this. And I happen to be talking to someone who, for all intents and purposes, appears to have it going on in this particular category and some other categories naturally. But she was saying to me, why don't you think about organizing or decluttering in zones? And so, not that I might take on that practice, because I think I need to flesh that out with her a little bit more. But what I'm thinking is, even if that strategy doesn't work, it's a strategy nonetheless. So it's going to require me to say, okay, for the next 7 days, I'm going to make strides towards decluttering the things around me. So I looked up the word decluttering because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. The word declutter means to remove unnecessary items from an untidy or overcrowded place. So maybe you don't have an untidy and uncoordinated or overcrowded place, but I would define decluttering, or the need for decluttering, to be any space where you're accumulating things that you don't need, or that you don't use, or that you don't want. And sometimes you can have so much stuff that the stuff that you need and the stuff that you want and the stuff that you use are just everywhere, that is really, really difficult to decide, where do I start? And I was one of those people that let's just throw everything away and start fresh. But you can't do that after you get to a certain age and you've accumulated things of value. And so I've been thinking a lot about that and trying to work out in my mind, okay, how does decluttering work? And the other thing is that sometimes, especially on topics like this, you can go and ask other people, what do you do to declutter? You can get opinions and perspectives from people, and it sound good, but it be what works for them and not necessarily what works for you. And a part of being successful at decluttering is figuring out what works for me, within my capacity, my ability, my mindset, my mind frame, my environment, what am I able to really commit to? So maybe it's room by room, maybe it's based on item types, maybe it is, today I'm gonna fill 3 garbage bags and take them outside. And no matter what room I start with or what room I finish, I'm just gonna do it. When I have gotten in the mood to do some level of decluttering, it is this really extreme, unreachable goal to become a minimalist. You cannot be a minimalist if you just go to Target for no reason and shop the end caps, like me. I'm going to Target 2 and 3 times a day. I spent $27 at Target. I brought $27 worth of knickknacks into my home that I may or may not use. Sometimes I get stuff from Target and I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened to that thing. And then I'll, 2 weeks later, I'll look at my trunk and there will be, that item that I forgot to take out, that I bought, for whatever reason. So I think the first step that I'm committing to, this is sort of me, journaling out loud, right? The first step that I'm committed to is finding my own process. And you have to find your own process quickly, right? Because you have to benefit, you have to jump on the energy that you're feeling to clean. So it's not necessarily that I'm going to actually do the work today, but I'm going to have a process in place so that when I get in the space to do the work, I don't have to come up with okay, where do I start? Because sometimes knowing where to start can be the most difficult space to be in. Unsure of Do I start in this room? Do I start with this item? What do I throw away? I think also you have to determine like what you need that environment to be like, right? So just like you set the mood for a lot of different, passionate activities that you might participate in, I think it's important to set the mood or set the environment or the tone for which you're able to really like break free from some of the stuff that you've been holding on to. So like it might be a candle, it might be music, it might be a certain person that you like to have around you that can be that voice of reason to say, hey, like back up, you don't need that. I've been watching you. You don't need, and the worst thing is that like, and maybe there are stages, because I see some people that are like, okay, I got one stage that I got one stay of this is the stuff that I love, this is the stuff that I like, this is the stuff that I don't really know why I have, but maybe has sentimental value, and so I'm holding on to it. So being able to categorize the things that you have, maybe you identify those 3 stages, and you're like, okay, these are the 3 areas. If it doesn't fall into one of these areas, then it immediately goes in the trash, or I immediately throw it away, or I immediately rethink its purpose. I think also in decluttering, and this is just a generic, you might not get any tips from this one, but this is just a generic, just me doing some emotional vomiting about my experience with decluttering. But I think what I have found in just doing general research about like what folks are doing to declutter is that one of the main things is that not everything that you throw away is something that can be used by other people. So definitely, maybe one of those stages or maybe one of those categories for things that you are thinking about throwing away or giving up is, here are the things that I'm going to give to somebody else. Like I'm thinking about somebody else. Just recently, somebody at my church gave me like 50 books, and I love books. And it was probably them deciding, what, I got too many things. I want to be a blessing to somebody else. I don't want to throw these books away. And so the books have been a blessing to me because I have been taking the opportunity to read them. But the other part is that I already have like 300 to 400 books. And so I need to be thinking about like maybe there's some books that I could give away to somebody else to make room for the new books that somebody got me as a blessing. I've also been thinking about like, well, maybe I just need to take 45 minutes, a week and think about like selling some of the books that I have that I don't read, on Amazon or taking them somewhere and donating them, so on and so forth. So I think that, it's really important to first, think about like how can these items be reused? What can I do with these items, that could be potentially beneficial to somebody else? The other thing is that sometimes for me, when I'm thinking about like just completely decluttering, I don't anticipate or I don't think through the roadblocks to, my ability to really get it done. And sometimes the roadmaps the things that get in the way can be as trivial as, I don't feel like walking all the way over to the dumpster, or, I don't feel like putting the stuff in the car to take it to Goodwill. The things that could get potentially in our way to stop us can be, things that we have to think about in advance. So, what are the list of things that have previously stopped you from your pursuit to declutter and to throw things away? Is it like, not being in the right headspace? Is it not being in close proximity to a garbage can? Is it transportation? Is it not having the appropriate disposable bags? Is it, maybe you're one of those people that like, if you're going to clean out your closet, everything has to be clean. So maybe it's, not having the time to do laundry. Whatever it is, like, maybe you might not be able to start your actual decluttering today, but maybe you can start with that list. Okay, here are the things that get in the way. For me, Do I have the garbage bags? Okay, I got garbage bags because one day when I was in the mood to declutter, I didn't really attack my goals that day, but it did lead me to Target to get a list of things that I know that I would eventually need when I started that process. The other thing is that, sometimes we hold on to sentimental things, and I think there's space for sentimental things, but you have to be careful. I have a friend, I don't know if he's gonna listen to this podcast or not, that has kept every iPhone box for every iPhone that he has ever bought since the first generation and it's not that those aren't valuable and they don't mean anything, but at the end of the day, maybe there's an alternative way of using those items to bring more attention to them or more value them. If you really can't think about what you're going to do with them other than have them as a keepsake, then you might be thinking about, okay, what does permanent space and permanent storage look like? Where would I be able to keep these things so that when I need them, they're accessible? Will I ever need them again? What will I need them for? And how does that, what does that mean for where I put them, or whether they're visible or not, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a lot of things to think about. So this is just me taking the first 20 minutes to just talk through what my game plan is. So this week, this is the first full week of February. My goal is to begin the process and make the strides toward decluttering, and to figure out first, what's my game plan? So I don't have a game plan. I am talking out loud and thinking through some of the things that I think might work. I want to also, in the conversation and the discussion, if you follow me on d.beaumonte, that is my Facebook page. I'm going to be posting things all week. The first article that I'm going to be posting is from a website called zenhabits.com. And this website wrote a great article entitled 18 5-minute decluttering tips to start conquering your mess. And it starts with this quote, this really cool quote from Albert Einstein that says, 3 rules of work. Out of clutter, find simplicity. From discord, find harmony. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunities. So, of course, out of clutter, find simplicity. So that's the first thing, is that it's in the clutter that we are able to really purely define what declutter looks like. What does it look like for me to have a space that I can see and touch and enjoy everything there without tripping over something or just having a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need? So a couple of things that are encouraged in this article on zenhabits.net. First thing is designate a spot for incoming papers. A lot of us have that scenario. I know for me, it's I usually have to drive to my mailbox. And so when I drive to my mailbox, I go through the things that I need right away. I might put those in my work bag, and I might leave the rest of the stuff on the front seat. Well, that kind of stacks up. So, if I'm gonna have a spot, near the door where I can put mail and things that I want to keep, great. The second thing that they encourage us to start clearing a starting zone. Start clearing a starting zone. Where am I going to start, when I start, and how can I prepare that space for that? Clear off a counter. Pick a shelf that is unused or not properly used that you can use better. Schedule a decluttering weekend. Pick up 5 things and find a place for them. Schedule or spend a few minutes visualizing what an uncluttered or decluttered space would look like. Maybe get a couple of boxes and call it a maybe box is what they recommend. Sometimes you just go through a pile of stuff and you don't know exactly what to keep. But if you have a maybe box, you can say, okay, maybe I'll keep this, and you can come back in and look at it later. Try to maybe every time you go to your car, put a load of things that you want for charity. Create a 30-day list. Teach your kids where things belong. Set up simple folders. Learn to file things quickly. Pull out clothes that you don't wear. Clear your medicine cabinet. Pull everything out of a drawer and just kind of start over. Learn to love an uncluttered look if you know I don't have the capacity to unclutter, and I'm just going to be real with myself. And then finally, they advise to have a conversation with your significant other or your roommate. If you don't have a significant other or roommate and you want to be held accountable, find a friend to talk about, to say, you know what, I'm going to make a commitment towards decluttering and making my space more livable. They close, and this article is actually from 2008, but they close with this quote from Donald Corbett, and it is that quote for which I'm going to close. And it says, "We don't need to increase our goods nearly as much as we need to scale down our wants. Not wanting something is as good as possessing it. Not wanting something is as good as possessing it." So before we think about bringing new things into our space, we're thinking about taking inventory of what we have, what kind of steward we have been over what we have, and how we can look at, recreating environments in our space that allow us to enjoy what we have and make room for what we don't have or what we want. So hopefully this is a thought-provoking time for you. I'm taking notes. Throughout the week, I'll be posting on all my social media things that I'm doing to declutter, and hopefully you'll join me. I will, and I'll appreciate it. We could encourage each other. So thank you for joining this episode. It's episode 17 of Seasoned with Salt. I'm your host, Dominique Beaumonte, and I look forward to sharing with you in the very, very near future.